Hi, my name's Noah Gibbs. I work for AppFolio. They pay me to do stuff and be here. Thank you, AppFolio. I'm here to tell you that there's no such thing as knowing your computer or coding all the way down to the bottom. I'm an old programmer in the sense that I've been doing this a long time, and I'm supposed to tell you that you should learn C or C++ or Rust, some language that works like the computer works, so that you understand how your computer works. I'm supposed to tell you to write code that messes with the hardware, like an operating system, so that you understand how an operating system works. And I'm supposed to tell you to write in high-performance languages so that you can write fast code. And the reason you should do all three of these things, they're all really the same thing, is because you should know the lowest levels of the computer. You should know it all the way to the bottom. No. No. But let's talk a little about why not. Don't learn C early. Maybe at some point, don't learn C early. C is no longer a low-level language. Google that phrase. There's a wonderful ACM paper that will tell you all the ways C is no longer works like your processor. C works like a PDP-11 from 1977, and it turns out some things have changed since then. So if you're learning C to know what the architecture is like, stop. The architecture is not like that anymore. You are wonderfully learning completely the wrong thing. Stop. If you're learning it for the optimization, it turns out all the major stuff in modern optimization, SIMD operations to do a bunch of stuff at once, and cache lines and all that. C doesn't do any of that because the PDP-11 in 1977 didn't do any of that. So save your time. Don't write an operating system. I've worked on 2 operating systems professionally and 2 more for learning and stuff a long time ago mostly. If you want to learn the stuff that you're supposed to learn from an operating system like schedulers, great. Schedulers are wonderful. Absolutely do that. Do that in a language that doesn't segfault. Do that in a nice high-level language where you can, because if you write a real, all the way down to the BIOS operating system, you have no applications to do it. You haven't written a modern scheduler. You're not going to learn all of these things because first you have to write the giant constellation of apps. No, writing an operating system is not even the best way to learn about an operating system anymore. You can't, there are useful pieces, but please don't do that for that reason. And never use a high-performance, awkward, annoying language just because. I don't mean never learn it, but inside every gigantic app, there's about 2 pages of code that needs to be fast, and we have foreign function interface. We have C extensions. We have call out to other languages. If you need 2 pages of fast code in a fast language, great. Write 2 pages of code in a fast language and then call to it from your 99-page Ruby app. Write the rest in whatever's easiest. Yeah, using the wrong language the whole time for that is the definition of premature optimization. But the reason you get all this advice is the same. The idea that there's virtue. I'm using the word virtue because as programmers, we've got all the same neuroses everybody else does. We're just deeper in denial. There's virtue in learning about the computer all the way down to the level where it makes sense. You will find that whoever tells you to learn it to the bottom is whatever level they learned. A C programmer will tell you learn it to C because that's all the way to the bottom. An assembly language programmer will grin next to him and say, you learn assembly, you learn it all the way to the bottom. And the hardware designer sitting next to him will just take another drink. Is the lowest level C? Absolutely not. Assembly has all sorts of bugs. Is it assembly? Well, I've worked at NVIDIA and Palm on prototype processors with hardware bugs. Hardware bugs are a thing, and if you read the Danlu, Google Danlu and CPU bugs, I promise it's not just prototype hardware. Hardware bugs are a thing. You don't mostly see them. Error correcting RAM. If there were no errors to correct, error correcting RAM wouldn't do anything. They correct a high percentage of your errors. You know what a high percentage isn't? Is 100. It's leaky abstractions all the way down. There is no point at which the abstractions stop leaking, all the way down to the abstraction that goes when an electron is sort of particle and sort of a wave, kind of, but not really. There exists no level of human knowledge where the leaks stop. Which means, and this is the best news I have for anybody all day, whatever level of abstraction you're at with all the leaky abstractions, it's the same all the way down. Take a deep breath and feel relieved because the C programmers that have been, telling you, I have to learn C because that's the level that makes sense, that's all the way to the bottom. You could learn enough to prove them wrong, but you don't have to. It turns out now you know they're wrong. You will never know it to the bottom. There is no bottom. That's sort of a downer of a note to end on. I mean, I've complained about everything, but I never told you what to do, except you know what to do. When you've got a particular problem, learn the things for that problem. Don't bias extra hard down toward things that look sort of like hardware, but not really. And the people who are telling you to do that because it's the pure right thing to do, you have my permission to ignore them or to send them in my direction. I'll happily debate with them all day, and then you can get back to what you were doing. Thank you very much. There's a longer blog post that's the same thing if you care in the slightest, and I understand if you don't. Go out and get better. You folks are the future. Use the past where it suits you. Ignore it where it doesn't. You're doing it right. Follow your instincts. You're doing it right. Thank you.